Today, we're going to simplify 5 of the most overpowered Town Hall 12 attack strategies and how you can earn more 3 stars with them. What's going on, my friends? My name's Corrupt, and that is right, guys. We're going to be going over 5 of the strongest and most overpowered Town Hall 12 attacks that you can use to crush any base design here in 2020. We're going to be first going over the hybrid attack strategy. This works incredibly well, and it works with 3 different variations. The one that we're looking at here is the Queen Charge hybrid variation, the Queen Charge version. Now, there are 2 other ways that you can use this, such as the Zap Quake method using the lightning spells and the earthquake, and you could also use the Queen Walk and the Yeti Bomb. Those 2 examples are incredibly powerful. Now, usually if you're going to be using a hybrid attack, you're usually going to be looking to get rid of a certain group of defensive buildings and make a nice path in the base. That way, what you're able to do is then have an easy time working into the base with your miners and hogs, and you also want to get rid of the enemy clan castle troops. Now, there are of course other ways that you can use this attack at the start, such as the Zap Quake. You're going to need 6 lightning spells and 1 earthquake to get rid of the clan castle building, and that is enough to get rid of every single defense in the game except for the eagle artillery. If you see that the eagle and the clan castle are close together and can be zapped away by using the Zap Quake, then you can go ahead and use 7 lightning and 1 earthquake to get rid of them. Another option that you have is the Yeti Bomb with a Queen Walk. Usually what you're going to use is the Yeti Bomb to lure out the clan castle, while also getting rid of something like the Giga Tesla or the single or multi-target Inferno. So you want to consider those different factors when you're doing this. And then the Queen Walk is just being used to create one side of the funnel. That's really all that you're going to be doing with those different variations. What we're going to be showing you guys right here is the use of the Queen Charge. So starting off, we want to understand exactly what we need to do. We're going to create the funnel on either side by using the baby dragons and using balloons to soak up any seeking air mines around there. Now, in case that there is a lot of heavy fire, if your queen's being targeted by a ton of defensive buildings, then you may want to consider using a rage spell early on. This is enough to keep her protected, keep her alive, and you really want to make sure that you're not letting her ability get popped too early. Now, you'll see that we're going to be charging in for the multi-target Inferno. Take a look at some of the nice value that we're entering in. The main reason here is because of the Eagle Artillery. When we step up for this expo, we're going to be able to lure out the enemy clan castle troops. So that is going to be the second point where you should be using the rage spell at. The rage spell is going to make sure that you're able to keep your queen alive through dealing with the enemy clan castle troops, being something like headhunters or super minions. And if you're seeing anything else, still poison up that enemy clan castle. Now, a lot of you guys have also asked me about dealing with single target Infernos. All you have to do is drop in a freeze. You want to make sure that you're keeping that frozen, so using 1 or 2 freeze spells to keep it frozen is entirely up to you, your spell composition and all of that, but you're going to be able to easily deal with the single target Infernos with no problem. At this stage, you've got a clear funnel set for the rest of your attack. You've got the Siege Barrack and the King being used to create this one side of the funnel here, while you've already created the other side with the Queen. So as you're sending everything in, you're going to be using the Warden ability and the heal spell to keep the miners and hogs alive as they continue to move in. Now, some of the hog riders, a good group of the hog riders, do move away from the miners, so we do have to use the heal spell on them, but since the miners are going into that heal spell regardless, we will have enough of those miners to get through the rest of the back end, mainly consisting of that multi-target Inferno. And you'll notice the use of the healers. The healers swapped away from the queen after she died. This is known as a healer swap, and this can provide you with a lot of value, even if it's accidentally. You never want to plan this out, but in case that this does happen, which in some cases it will, you're going to be able to get a lot of really nice value from using the healers on the miners and hog riders. You may have noticed here as well, look at all of these troops still left up in the cleanup. The King, Wizards, P.E.K.K.A, Barbarians, and the Miners, along with a couple Hog Riders. So those are really things that you will want to consider when you guys are using the hybrid attack. Let's also go over another really overpowered troop here in the game. You heard me right when I said one overpowered troop. This is none other than the Super Witch. Now, what are you doing with a Super Witch smash like this one? Well, what you're going to be doing is you're going to use the lightning spells to get rid of the Inferno Tower, and also you're trying to get rid of other defensive structures within there that aren't things like the Expos or the Eagle Artillery. You want to look for defenses that take 4 lightning spells to get rid of, 4 or less lightning. On top of this, you're going to be using a Warden Walk to establish one side of the funnel, and you're going to be using the King and or the Yeti on the other side to create the other side of the funnel. Then what you've got is you can then send your Super Witches, and then you can use a jump spell on the back end to get rid of the Giga Tesla. So those are going to be a couple options. However, you also have 2 other options that you have when you're doing this attack. For instance, you can treat this like a Zap Mass Witch by using 4 lightning spells and 1 earthquake on each of the Inferno Towers, and then you're going to be sending in your Super Witches right in for that Town Hall on the opposite side with the Wall Wrecker right behind. You have the Golems in front, and that way you basically have a tank in front of a tank in front of that witch, in front of that Super Witch. So you have a lot of really good options. Another part is that you can use this like a Witch Slap where you have 2 healers and 2 Super Witches on either side, and then what you can do is you can then have them on 2 different corners, and what you can do is create the funnel that way. And then you can send bowlers and the heroes straight into the base. So you have a lot of good options when using the Super Witches. So you have those options that provide you with a lot of good support. So what we're looking at here is we're going to be starting off with the Warden Walk. We're going to be seeing the use of the Zap Quake as well, but we're using the Rage in order to keep this Warden alive through all of the point defenses, including that Tesla farm. So now you'll see the use of the Zap Quake as well, using the Earthquake in order to get rid of multiple structures around there in order to make it easier for the Warden to get rid of that entire compartment. Now, this is the boring part, the Warden Walk. We don't really want to watch it too much. We're going to times 2 through that so we can actually get to the actual good stage, which is funneling. You'll see on the other side here, we're using the King and the Yeti. The best part about using a Yeti is that he's going to be able to create the other side of the funnel and get rid of any defensive buildings that may be on the outside of the base. Once we have a clear funnel set thanks to the King and the Yeti, we can go ahead and use our Super Witches. Once this funnel has been indeed set, we're going to be able to drop in the Queen. She's going to work her way in with the Super Witches, and what we're going to be able to do is use some regular wall breakers. You don't need super wall breakers all the time to break in. We're going to use the Warden ability early in order to guarantee this wall break. Just to keep in mind that the reason that we didn't use it later on was because the Super Witches really don't need it. When they're being healed up, they almost literally cannot die. And you can see as they're pushing in, they've barely taken any damage, and they're just continuing to work through. We've got the use of the big boys in order to keep them up front, and they're doing big damage, big amounts of damage as they continue to move through, even getting rid of the Giga Tesla. Now, at this stage of the attack, you also want to make sure that you have cleanup. So by making sure that you have the Hog Riders here that you can see, while still also having a heal spell for those Hog Riders on the back end. What you're able to do with this is provide a lot more support. The Hog Riders here are there to get rid of defensive structures and quicken the pace of the rest of the attack. Here at Town Hall 12, only 4 Super Witches is enough to use, as you want to make sure that you have enough cleanup troops, and you also want to make sure that you have enough troops to support the Hog Riders as well, or enough spell space to also provide support for the Hog Riders, because they're going to help with the cleanup once they get rid of defenses. So you really want to consider those small factors, and you can see here as well. Take a look, all 4 Super Witches are still alive here in this base. And that just goes to show how powerful the Super Witches are. And that kind of goes over exactly what you should be doing if you're going to be using the Super Witches. But we've also got another easy attack using another Super Troop. Next up, this attack is something that you may want to use if you're a fan of dragons and you also want to boost up the super minion. This is none other than the air hybrid. So what you're usually trying to look for are going to be the air defenses. By getting rid of the air defenses along with the multi-target infernos, this is going to provide you with a lot of good value. and you really want to make sure that you're doing just that in order to get some really, really good value out of the base. Usually, if you're going to be seeing the multi-target infernos by the air defenses, try to spread the lightning spells while still touching the multi-target inferno. This is usually done by using the 2 lightning on the air defense and then using the other 2 lightning elsewhere, then using the earthquake over all of them to get rid of it. Now, you don't just have to do this. You can go ahead and use the 2 lightning and 1 earthquake over a single air defense, or you can use it over 2 air defenses within the same compartment. That way you're getting rid of 2 air defenses for 1 zapquake. Now, that kind of really sums up the lightning spells, but when you're doing this, you're going to be creating the funnel. The first side of the funnel should be using the king if you still have a lot of buildings here, and you could use a super minion to do just that to create the other side of the funnel. You can also use the queen with an ice golem that's going to provide the death freeze, which will support the queen even further. So that way what you're able to do is you're cutting this base down, you're cutting this base down here and over in this direction. Now what you're able to do is send in your super minions and your dragons up into the base, while getting rid of 3 air defenses. That way what you're able to do is start entering into the base. Now, another thing that you may want to consider is the different siege machines that you can bring. You notice that we had the Stone Slammer. Well, you can also bring the Battle Blimp if you are attacking away from the Town Hall. You can have 2 Yetis in there, or you can have sneaky goblins and a dragon in order to get rid of the Town Hall. In this case here, we're entering right in for that Town Hall. So we're going to be using the Rage, along with that, the Warden ability to provide a ton more support for the dragons, the super minions that are moving into the base. Now, the Stone Slammer here can just go all around the base. We have a free spell that will help support the super minions and the dragons, along with the balloons on the back end where we need to worry about a single air defense. Those are things that you really want to try and consider, because sometimes your attack is not going to go in the right direction, but you can still use the freeze here in order to protect the super minions from getting through or from getting taken out by the air defense. In this case here, you'll see that the air defense is going to get shot down thanks to the super minion. You may have also noticed that there was a Seeking Air Mine that took down a super minion. Because super minions are no longer regular minions, they can trigger Seeking Air Mines. So you may want to consider those small factors. But that just really goes to show how powerful this single super troop can be along with the dragons. This is just one simple way that you guys can combine the use of regular troops with super minions or a super troop in order to create a really powerful combination. Now, that is just one of the better attack strategies right now. We've also got one that's just on par or even better than it. If you're still somehow living under a rock, you have to know this one simple way. It's the infamous Zap Mass Witch. Now, there are a couple factors here. We're going to be using 2 Zapquakes, very similar to how I mentioned where you can use this very similar with the super witches. You can do this with regular witches, getting rid of the multi-infernos and then driving the use of the wall wrecker on the opposite side. Now, in this case, the only time I would ever do this is in case the Eagle Artillery, Inferno Tower, and the Town Hall is within a line. However, if you see that you can get more value by using a jump spell, then you could actually use the jump with 2 super wall breakers with a siege barrack in order to get everything through the base and opening the rest of the base up for your witches. You just have a couple options outside of just using the wall wrecker, but the wall wrecker is the easier option. So what you'll see here is the use of the Zapquake. We're getting rid of the Inferno Towers by making sure that we're using the 4 lightning spells on each side in order to make it a little bit easier for us to get through a large portion of these defensive buildings. Now what we're doing is we're going to create the funnel by using a golem on either side in order to create the funnel, and then we're going to be using a golem up front with the wall wrecker going in. We do have the use of a jump spell just in case we need to get through the back end and in case the warden ability is not enough. So as we're driving in, we've got a large group of witches entering into the base. So usually 3 to 4 witches is going to be enough on either side to create the funnel on the flanks. So now while we're sending everything in, we've got the witches, the skeletons, and the heroes moving right in. We're going to be using the Warden ability over the Wall Wrecker in order to make sure that this Wall Wrecker gets right over to the Town Hall. Now in this case here, something like this is something that you need to be very worried about, especially dealing with something like a Inferno Dragon. So you want to make sure that you're using the jump spell to get onto the other side of the wall where you can get to the Town Hall. In this case here, you'll notice that we already used the Warren ability, but we still have the Queen ability. We still have the Yetis that are going to provide enough support for everything still pushing through, and we still have witches. We have all the heroes still remaining, and they're going to be able to be enough to get rid of the Giga Tesla. Now, that is using the Wall Wrecker and the jump, and you can just see how powerful this is. We still have quite a bit of witches still remaining. We still have the Queen with her ability, and we still have the Warden. And that is extremely good. We have a ton of skeletons, and that is going to be the saving grace for this attack. We've got a ton of skeletons. They're going to be able to overwhelm all these defenses. It's going to be a lot easier for us to easily move through. So if you're ever interested in really using the witches over super witches, you will want to consider those different factors. Sometimes the super witches are better than the witches against multi-target infernos, but sometimes there's single target infernos, and you could use the witches against single target infernos. So you have a lot of great options. Now let's go ahead and go over the number 1 most overpowered Town Hall 12 attack that you can use right now. The best, most overpowered Town Hall 12 attack that can basically crush every single base is going to be the Zap Lavaloon. So let's go over a couple things. For starters, we're going to be using the Zap Quake method to get rid of the Clan Castle. You're going to see the use of multiple lightning spells in order to get rid of the Clan Castle building, a sweeper there, but all we're doing is just getting rid of the Clan Castle. The next stage of this attack is creating the funnel on either side here in order to make sure that we're able to get our heroes in for the Town Hall. Take a look at what's near that Town Hall too. We have the enemy Queen. We can also get rid of an air defense since it's close to the Town Hall in range of our Sui hero. Now we're going to be using a jump with a couple of the ice golems in order to provide more support for everything pushing into the base. This is where we've got the use of the King ability, and we can use the Ice Golem Death Freeze in order to provide more support for the rest of the attack. That way we're able to get rid of the enemy Queen and also getting rid of other structures around there. Then we can go ahead and start using the rest of this attack. We can then start by sending in the Stone Slammer, getting rid of a couple defenses, creating some pathing, and then we want to take a look at where air defenses are. These are the last 2 remaining air defenses. So what we want to make sure that we're doing is by sending in a Lava Hound here and a Lava Hound here, we're able to have some clear funneling. And we could also use a third Lava Hound, either that goes into this direction or goes in for this final air defense. And we've got balloons right behind them, moving in, taking the defenses down from the outside and making it easier for everything to move through. Notice the use of the ability here. We're keeping the ability in use in order to provide more support for everything pushing in. That way what we're able to use is the freeze over stuff like the air defenses or multi-target infernos, and the haste spells are there in order to get these balloons to go to the defenses a little bit quicker. Stuff like the Tesla farms, wizard towers, those things like that are going to be extremely important to get rid of while using those haste spells. So try to take your Lavaloon slow, and you may have noticed that we did use a large group of balloons. The reason that we're using a surgical deployment is in order to surgically place each of the balloons in. As far as cleanup goes, make sure that you're dropping in the minions as soon as you've cleared out one area and you're guaranteed to clear that out. That way you have the cleanup going through with the lava pups and the minions to clean up the rest of the base and get your 3-star. So you really have a lot of great options with all of these attacks. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys thought about the video, and let me know what your favorite attack strategy for Town Hall 12 is in the comments below. Make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell for more educational Clash of Clans content, and if you're interested in seeing more Town Hall 12 content, feel free to check out any of the videos I have posted over here for Town Hall 12. Make sure you guys join me over on the social and join my community Discord server, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Corrupt, signing out.